Good morning, everybody. Welcome to this video. I hope this video finds you in good health and in good spirits. In this video, I'm going to talk about innovation and creativity and the importance that it holds. Okay, importance for education and pedagogy as a whole. What exactly is innovation? Innovation may be defined as a practical implementation of ideas. Okay, these practical implementation ideas will lead to improved quality of services and goods, or it may also lead to new scientific paradigms. Okay, many definitions have been attempted to be provided for the term innovation. According to ISO 56000, innovation may be described as a new or a changed entity realizing or redistributing value. Okay, according to Steve Jobs, he was one of the greatest innovators. He passed away from cancer a couple of years ago. Innovation distinguishes between a leader and a follower. This is a very important definition that he provided. According to Andre Guide, mankind cannot discover new oceans unless he has the courage to lose sight of the shore. So, what this means is essentially you have to let go of old shibboleths, antiquated paradigms, etc., and we have to wholeheartedly embrace the new. Okay, it has to make sense of the world it finishes in, not in the world it started. So we're proceeding against a moving target. Okay, the target itself will move and change with the times. So we need to keep our paradigms always up to date, and it needs to be uh, synchronized with the new and changed realities. Okay. There is also another allied and related term. This is known as creativity. What then exactly is creativity? Creativity may be defined as the use of one's own imagination to generate a new plethora of new ideas, new set of ideas to create something new. It is also associated and equated with the concept of inventiveness. Okay, creativity leads to new alternatives, new possibilities. These are usually used to solve problems, communicate with others, and in general make the world a much better place for people to live in. Okay, according to Albert Einstein, creativity is seeing what others see and thinking what no one else has taught. According to Edward de Bono, he's famed for his work on Six Sigma. There is doubt that creativity is the most important human resource of all. Without creativity, there would be no progress, and we would be forever repeating the same pattern. According to Elizabeth Gilbert, a creative life is an amplified life. It is a bigger life, a happier life, an expanded life, and a hell of a lot more interesting life. Okay, so there are many different characteristics of innovation and creativity. What are they? Let us explain them in a nutshell, in brief. Okay, it innovation and creativity leads to is associated with challenging tradition, challenging authority, challenging dogma, fighting ideologies, challenging in the status quo, revisiting all assumptions, thinking from scratch, exercising one's gray skills, solving social and cultural problems, fighting religious, social, and cultural constraint. Okay, there are many different important allied concepts associated with innovation and creativity. One is to bring about social change. The second thing is it is important for societal and cultural progress. It is important to solve social problems. Therefore, in this day and age, it must be started to students from a very young age. Okay, it should be taught in all schools universally. Okay, because we what we normally have is we have rote learning. Rote learning is a process of memorizing information based on repetition. If you visit some religious schools, particularly madrasas, you will see rote learning taking place on a large scale. But this is not. It's anathema to modern scientific progress. However, rote learning does play some important role in the education scheme of things. For example, if rote learning may be useful in learning basics, okay, in assimilating and digesting basics, it may be useful in acquiring and providing foundational knowledge. For example, children may need to learn multiplication tables by heart because it will allow them to grasp uh, better, more advanced concepts more quickly and more thoroughly. For example, periodic table also to some extent, not always needs to be by hearted. There are, however, several limitations of rote learning. It inhibits, for the first thing, it inhibits creative and innovative thinking, and it is not really necessary in the age of the internet because people have smartphones nowadays. This 2007, the use of smartphones has multiplied in a big way, so people are able to process information at their fingertips. Okay, let us now analyze some related concept. What is meaningful thinking? Meaningful thinking is an important concept. It refers to higher order thinking and development to intellectual engagement. It uses pattern recognition and concept association. It includes critical and creative thinking, inquiry, problem solving, critical discourse, and metacognitive skills. Okay, what then are metacognitive skills? Metacognitive skills refer to organizing and evaluating thought process relating to learning and problem solving. It provides knowledge regarding knowledge. Okay, you have data, metadata, and the metadata is data regarding data, just like that. Meta knowledge is knowledge regarding knowledge. It is self awareness and ability to understand knowledge, limitations of knowledge, what we know, what we do not know. And it also deals with techniques to retain, assimilate, and process knowledge pertaining to a particular subject. Okay, we also have concepts such as active learning. Active learning leads to children, students learning by thinking, discussing, investigating, and creating new paradigms. Okay, and in classes, students practice skills, solve problems, struggle with complex questions, make decisions, propose solutions, explain idea, etc. Okay, there are many such techniques being propounded all the time and developed all the time, and one may refer to this from the internet. Let us now evaluate some critical thinking techniques. Okay, one technique that we have is a scamper model. It is scamper stands for substitute, combine, adapt, modify, put in place, eliminate, and reverse. Okay, these keywords represent the necessary question. You need to ask all these questions all the time during a creative thinking process, and these will enable you to provide solutions to intractable problems. This can be used in many cases. For example, if we're designing a car or a truck, suppose we're introducing new options, particularly vegetarian and vegan options in McDonald's or Kentucky Fried Chicken, then this can be used. Another concept is five whys model. Five-way model is the practice of why, asking why, the question why repeatedly until whenever a problem is encountered, in order to keep getting to the root of the problem and understand the problem in depth and much better. Okay, so we get beyond the obvious superficial symptoms, we avoid skipping on the surface, and we discover the root cause. Another important technique is the trees technique. This trees technique was developed in the USSR, former erstwhile USSR, between the years 1946 and 85 by the engineer and scientist Genrich S. Astuller and his colleagues. This is typically used for problem solving. They have seven different pillars such as ideality, resources, functionality, value, contradiction, space, time, domain, interface, system transfer, system transition, etc. It is based on 40 different principles. It involves identifying trade-offs, and it involves eliminating paradoxes as well. Okay, for example, if you want to make a car product stronger, you may have to sacrifice its weight or cost. If you might want to make it more fuel efficient and resource efficient, you may have to reduce performance in some way. For example, we had also developed the theory of paradoxes in the year 2023. We tried to identify internal paradoxes, external paradoxes, and removing paradoxes will improve the efficiency and functioning of the systems. There is also one more important theory known as the theory of constraints. This theory was developed by the Israeli researcher Eliyahu S. Goldratt. He wrote a book called The Goal. According to him, it identifies this was the birth and gestated in a production context or manufacturing context setting, identifying constraints and bottlenecks all the time, because you have many processes one feeds into another, and the objective of this is to increase throughput. Okay, he extended his ideas later to non-technical concepts also, and he wrote concepts such as wrote books such as critical change necessary but not sufficient, it's not luck, etc. And we also need to identify vested interests all the time, because vested interests exist when people want to protect one's own money, power, wealth, or reputation. Another approach is the dialectical approach. This is widely used. According to this approach, people with two contradictory ideas are brought together. According to the principle of the dialectical approach, thesis plus antithesis is equal to synthesis, which is also equal to the truth. Okay, this concept originated in ancient Greece and it is attributed to Zeno of Alia. However, this concept was later developed upon by Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle. And we have the concept of Socratic dialogues. This is a method of elenchus or scrutiny. This concept was developed throughout the Middle Ages and into the modern ages. It was greatly improved later on. Okay, and we also had G.W.F. Hegel, who was a German philosopher, famous German philosopher. He greatly influenced Karl Marx. He developed a concept of his own concept of dialectics, which means as identifying and eliminating internal obstacles and all forms of internal contradictions. Dialectical materialism in a more is a more restricted version of dialectics, which was developed by Karl Marx and Friedrich Engel. It operates purely at a material plane. Okay. According to Karl Marx, non-material issues were trivial and and less important because man had to produce and think before he could. I mean, he's for him economics is everything. That's what Karl Marx. It's a narrow binary represents a narrow binary thinking or reductionist view, but nonetheless, that is how his approach operates. Okay. Karl Marx primarily wanted to focus on social class, labor economics, and socio-economic interactions. We had also proposed in 2023, 2024, we had proposed an approach known as auto dialectics. Okay. In this, two different people are not involved in the dialectical approach. A person successively puts himself in the shoes of his opponents and looks at things from his own point of view, and then he reaches a reflective equilibrium. John Rawls also developed a concept of reflective equilibrium. It is a state of balance of coherence among a diverse and wide set of beliefs. And John Rawls developed and popularized this idea in his book Theory of Justice. Okay, this leads to better justice for different individuals concerned, and it is arrived at by a proper process of deliberative mutual adjustments, continuous adjustments among general principles. And this concept was extended by many different people, such as Nelson Goodman. Okay, we also have a concept of lateral thinking, which is also known as horizontal thinking. Sometimes it is also known as divergent thinking. Okay, and according to this view, you try to uh, approach a problem innovatively and creatively. You would seldom look for a straightforward answer. Okay, it is like also like out of the box thinking. Out of the box thinking also refers to the idea and the concept of thinking differently, unconventionally, and from completely new and a different, unorthodox and a unconventional perspective, like a heterodox perspective. Okay, and you're not bound by any dogma or traditions, and not bound by any by fear of any authority. Okay, another concept is brainstorming. The idea technique was introduced in 1953 by Alex Fakeney Osborne in his book Applied Imagination. Okay, and people with different ideas brainstorm, and they instead of arguing with each other from the beginning, they jot down their ideas systematically, and people are urged to think individually, not just collectively. There is no group think here, and no inhibition of ideas. People are encouraged to critique their ideas also. And we also have another important thinking technique known as the six axis thinking technique. This was developed by Edward de Bono. It's also used as a part of Six Sigma. And here you have white hat. According to white hat, you present the facts of the problem. Green hat, generate ideas on how the problem can be solved. Yellow hat, evaluate the ideas by listing their benefit. Black hat, evaluate the ideas by listing their drawbacks. And red hat, get everybody's gut feelings about the alternatives. We also have grounds up assessment, which we had proposed in another paper last year. It is called continuous zero based assessment of assumptions, hypotheses, and methods. All assumptions need to be revisited, and there should not be any assumptions at all. All assumptions should be questioned continuously and constantly. This is also tied and related to the idea of Occam's razor. According to Occam's razor, the efficacy of theory is inversely proportional to the number of assumptions it has. We also proposed a concept known as uncertainty principle. I had written three papers on this. Please read those three papers. It involves balancing certainties against uncertainties. This is different from the certainty principle proposed in physics, where it states that the time and where it states the position and the momentum of an object cannot be both predicted with certainty. That is completely different. And we proposed a core paper on certainty and uncertainty principle 1.5 2 years ago, and we also extended it to many contexts. We explained many practical implications of this issue, and we use this to quash racism. Okay, by counterbalancing certain factors against uncertain factors. We also developed the concept of, in the third paper, hypothesis evaluation based on the certainty uncertainty principle. We also wrote 2 years ago about the sociological 90-10 rules. This is based on exceptionism. Exceptions to hypothesis must be actively sought out. Exceptions may exist now or they may exist in the future. This is known as diachronic exceptions. As for synchronic exceptions, they are geographically varying exceptions. For example, we have cultural exceptions, and you can also have synchronic diachronic exceptions. But we may need to question the hypothesis itself or improve it based on all these exceptions. Otherwise, we may need to develop some hypothesis or completely independent hypothesis based on the importance and the magnitude of these exceptions. Okay. One more thing that we concept that we proposed a year or so ago is reducing the latent times for the latency time for the acceptance of new ideas. This involves identifying causes for delayed acceptation or recognition, identifying patterns of these for delayed recognition of new theories or new scientific work, identifying the root cause analysis or performing a root cause analysis, and trying to apply time crashing technique. This is a time management strategy. What we do is we try to see that research is more quickly adopted and accepted in future. This may need to for this we may need to fight against different types of ideologies. This is extremely important technique. We also discussed the group of focus group discussions. According to focus group discussions, it is a qualitative research method. A selected group of people are brought together with usually with diverse and varying variant of viewpoints. They discuss a given topic or issue in depth, and there is a facilitator or a moderator. He is usually professional and he is external. Okay, based on these ideas and new ideas are tested and brought out, they are documented and printed also. And we also have interviews as a part of social science research technique. It's a important qualitative technique, and we have structured interviews, semi-structured interviews, unstructured interviews, etc. Structured interviews have a more set agenda with low scope of activity. Unstructured interviews are more creative, but you need to have a lot of experience to carry this out. Also have questionnaires, different types of questionnaires. These are mailed with a covering letter and with a explanatory note. And questionnaires usually they have concepts such as open-ended questions, closed-ended questions. Usually, questions must not be open-ended, and responses must be collected and analyzed. In the olden days, good old days, they used to send by mail, but now it can be sent by email. Okay, and we also have a concept of Likert scale. Likert scale is used to measure surveys, participant opinions, attitudes, motivations, or more. You have commonly a 3 point Likert scale: do not agree, neutral, and agree. We also have 7 point Likert scale. For example, strongly disagree, disagree, somewhat disagree, either disagree or agree, somewhat agree, and agree. We also have 1.10, 1 to 10 Likert scale, which is much more granular and precise. Okay, we also have concepts known as quantification technique. A quantification technique refers to assigning numeral values to quantitative data, okay, which cannot otherwise be quantified. So, quantification is a useful technique in social science if you want to analyze something statistically and mathematically. However, we have repeatedly mentioned the fact that overemphasis and over obsession with quantitative research techniques in the social sciences must be avoided. It has its own limitations. Okay, even experienced researchers seem to fall a victim to this syndrome, which really baffles me, and I'm bewildered by this. But somehow we must try to resist this temptation at all times. And there are aspects that can be studied qualitatively alone. We also have the concept of root cause analysis. According to the root cause analysis, the hidden or underlying cause of something is identified. Then solutions are proposed. Okay, this is very important because you're delving into a problem in depth rather than just superficially examining it and skimming on the surface. So you are able to find out actual root of the problem so that the problem can be issue can be permanently snuffed out. Okay, you also have a fishbone diagram. This is known as Ishikawa diagram. This diagram represents a fishbone. That's why it's called a fishbone diagram. You trace the causes of events backward in a chain. Okay, it's a form of a causal analysis, or cause and effect analysis. This is also extremely important. And then you try to identify at each step what interfaces are there: man, material, machines, methods, measurements, environment, management, money, maintenance, etc. So that you can try to identify risks. This is also a risk identification strategy. And you also have a what if analysis. This is common, I think, for people who went behind you years spreadsheet users. This is very common to you, but because you have goal seek and other techniques in Excel and other spreadsheets, but you modify a comparative problem to in order to assess the downstream implications of such a modification. You also have a slice and dice approach. This is also known as a dimensional analysis. Here you identify subjects based on age, occupational groups, gender, nationality, ethnicity, socio-economic groups, socio-cultural groups, etc. You identify variations based on these groups, and identify the causes for such variations so that solutions can be proposed. Okay, and we also need to have social responsibility over economic freedom. Scientific activism or science activism needs to be carried out. We had also proposed the concept known as structured innovative thinking for social sciences research. This is to identify problems that we observe in the social and cultural world, and then to identify solutions for this. Okay, this is extremely detailed, and you are requested to go through my research paper for this. Okay, I don't want to repeat it here in a great level of detail because I just want to. This is just a high level overview. Okay, on the entire problem, and more research is indeed required. We are looking forward to more research and innovative and creative fields, both for social sciences research and for the material world also. And this needs to be taught from to students right from a young age. Okay. With these words, I end this video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you have any feedback or comments, please write to me separately. Sujay Rao 2012 at gmail.com. Thank you very much indeed.